going on? This is your girl Simply Betty coming to you today with a very interesting video. And it's kind of ironic because I'm wearing my wedding rings around my neck, and that's only because my fingers have shrunk due to I guess a little bit of the lost weight that I've been going through, whatever. But after long and overdue procrastination on my part, I finally figured out, well, I was going to record another video actually, but I came across this online, and then someone was DMing me about this topic about marriage licenses should expire like every other state license to give people the option to part ways or renew. My friend DM'd me this, and I was just like, that's very interesting. It's a very interesting scenario because technically the government could approve that, and that actually would be a good idea. So today's video is, should marriage licenses have an expiration date, and if so, what would be the outcome basically of that. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and let's jump right into the video. I normally don't do my makeup while I talk, but me and the bestie are finna go out for lunch, so I need to put something on my face around my bags, and so I'm going to have to talk and do a light makeup day today. Well, actually all summer, because I'm not doing a full face. I can't do it. It's literally too hot. I don't know what is wrong with the earth right now. I mean, I've seen a couple of things that's saying what's wrong with the earth, but literally it is literally too hot. Like, I can't, it's like suffocating heat. But anyways, so just jumping right into it, should marriage licenses have an expiration date? I would say yes. And here's my reason why. Some people get married for the wrong reasons. Some people get married for the wrong reasons, but in that moment they think it's the right reason, and therefore the cost of divorce is uberly expensive in some cases, depending on what your economic bracket is and your status basically. So I can understand why this is a trending topic, because let's be honest, at the rate that America is going, the divorce rate is uberly high. Like, it is too high, like ridiculously high. And for example, let's see, according to the internet, and this is apa.org, and the topic is underneath divorce, about 40 to 50% of married couples in the United States get a divorce. Now that's extremely high, like extremely high. Just think about it. If you're in a room with 10 people and they all decide to get married, 4 to 5 of those couples are going to get a divorce, and probably within the first, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. That's really high. And let's not hope they didn't, spend a lot of money on their marriage or their wedding like some people do. I think the average cost for a wedding, well, it was when I got married, which was in 2018, the average cost for a wedding is $10,000. And I can say for a fact that is correct, because we literally paid $10,000 for our wedding, and that was just for venue and food, because the food is where the cost really comes in, and the bride's cake. I don't understand why the bride's cake is that high. Well, actually I can't understand why the cake is that high. I mean, the decoration, the detailed it takes to put the cake together, and then not to mention having a big enough cake to feed all the people that you've invited to your wedding. Now, there are a lot of trends where people are going at the cheap route of getting weddings done, kudos to you. I have 2 sets of parents, and my husband also has a big family, so getting all 3 families in the building, I knew my wedding was not going to be small, which is why I'm going on record saying that from the beginning I just wanted to go to the courthouse, but hubby said I deserved a wedding, so therefore we had a wedding, and I do deserve a wedding. But anyways, yeah, there are alternatives to have a cheaper wedding. I cut corners to try to save on some of the costs. For instance, my wedding dress, I kind of cheated because my aunt is a seamstress who is wonderful. She literally makes dresses and other wardrobe pieces for a living. Like, that is her entire career. So yeah, my dress was not that expensive. My husband's cake wasn't expensive. It's probably like maybe $50 maybe. And of course, you know, all the other accessories and the things that the bride and the groom have to buy for their bridesmaids and groomsmen, and the trips that you take if you're doing a bachelorette party or a bachelor party or a bachelorette trip or a bachelor, you know, whatever the case may be. The cost of a wedding is expensive and time consuming and frustrating. I kid you not, if you survive planning a wedding, the chances of your wedding or your marriage lasting maybe raises about 20 to 30%. You know, hey, I'm just be honest, maybe 20 to 30%. I don't think it's that much. You know, because then you have those brides that turn into bridezilla and all of that, or groomzilla, whatever. But the matter of the fact is that weddings are expensive, and nobody wants to sit here and pay all of this money for a wedding for the marriage to just fail. I don't know about you, I don't have money to waste like that. So I plan on my marriage lasting. Now, if they're going to actually implement this or do a trial run, I'm pretty sure in the future a state will probably try to implement this where a marriage does have an expiration date. I can especially see those trying to implement this, you know, rule or technique for the higher economic or tax bracket, because you don't want to marry somebody that's just in it for the wrong reasons. You know, just in it to take out a life insurance policy or just to spend your money and all of that. You know, you don't want to marry for the wrong reasons. And you also don't want to believe that someone is marrying you for, you know, the wrong reasons as well. I mean, I've seen people get married because they have kids, or, you know, the person got pregnant. I've seen people get married for that reason, and then subsequently years later, when the child is in their teenage years, the marriage all of a sudden fell. No, sweetheart, that marriage was doomed from the beginning. You know, the male or the female, y'all became into an agreement stating that it was the right thing to do. And of course, as we millennials get, you know, process things and start reevaluating life choices, we're starting to see that, you know, we don't have to get married for those same reasons that our parents and grandparents did and thought that was the right thing. I've seen marriages where people stayed in it because of the kids. They never really were in love with each other, and it failed. I've also seen people who married each other who are truly in love, but the marriage still failed because they weren't mature as individuals, if that makes sense. Say for instance, you marry young, or your maturity hasn't fully blossomed at that point. You're still struggling individual wise. You're still struggling to try to figure out what you want to do in life. You know, when you bring a person into the mix in marriage, that is going to be a hard journey, especially if that person also is either fully understands who and what they are as a person, or they're also going on the same journey as you. And it's going to be hard to try to control your emotions. You know, Communication is another reason why marriages fail. People don't know how to really communicate to each other anymore. As well as finances. Finances, I probably think, is one of the biggest reasons why marriages fail. And it's not saying that people don't know how to manage finances. It's just more of, I feel like people have more of a me, my type situation. And marriage is a partnership. People don't realize that marriage is a partnership. They just get in it because, oh, I love the person, or I'm obligated to take care of this person, or whatever the case may be. Not understanding that you guys have to coexist as one. So if states do decide, and I do believe that this would probably be on the state legislation or the state branch of government to make this come into fruition, I feel like maybe like California or maybe even Texas would probably be one of the first states to implement this, you know, after 4 years, like a driver's license. If you've gotten married and you just feel like it's not working, you've done the counseling, you've improved yourself as far as communication wise, if you've done everything in your power to make your marriage work and it still is not where you want it to be, then you've come to the realization that you guys are just not compatible as marriage partners. Maybe friends, but not as far as a married couple. And that would be a great deal for someone. They could just walk away, and you know, knowing that you gave it your all, and just like, whew, I dodged it, or okay, it was only 4 years, you know, it's over and done, let's move on, instead of going to court, having to be separated for a year, and then being able to file for divorce after you've already been living separately for an entire year. Yes, for those of you who are not unaware, I don't know if it's a certain time period where you have to be living apart from each other for a year. I know in some states or in some circumstances you can actually get your marriage annulled, but I believe that's within the first 30 days. But after a certain point, you will literally have to separate from your spouse for an entire year before you're able to actually file for a divorce. So that's even more financial strain on you, because now you're you're trying to pick up the pieces and figure out life now as an individual, even though you may have been struggling in the marriage as an individual because you're still trying to find your identity. Now that you're separated, you're really forced to figure things out as an adult. And I just think it's so much pressure to try to make marriages work. But you know, millenniums now, I don't see too many of us getting married so soon. For instance, me and my husband, we were together for 10 years. We actually got married on our 10-year anniversary. And it wasn't that we weren't in love with each other, and it wasn't that we didn't think we were going to be with each other. It was just we knew mentally that we were not mature enough to be in a marriage. I felt like, well, we both felt like, you know, marriage is a big step. That's a big commitment. And it wasn't that we weren't scared, that we were scared of commitment, because we were together for 10 years. So obviously something worked. It's just that we both were going on our individual journeys. We met in college. You know, I was fresh out of high school. I think it was my first semester in college when I met my husband, and he was a sophomore. So going through that journey, you know, we were still trying to figure out what it is now to be an adult. We went from living in our parents' house, having everything taken care of, to now being thrown into the lion's den with a bunch of wolves and thieves, trying to figure life out and figure out exactly what we wanted to do and where we wanted to be as individuals. And eventually we came to the maturity, like, okay, I know you're going through it at this point, I'm going through it at this point. You know, even though our families were like pushing to, you know, when are y'all gonna get married, when are y'all gonna have kids, you know, when this and when that, but we literally were like, you know, when it's time for us to get married, we'll get married. We didn't want the pressure, but we also knew that the clock was ticking. We weren't, you know, naive and dumb, but you know, we just knew we had to go through our major life lessons before we decided to make that commitment. And it ended up working out for the best. Okay, I'm just putting a little bit of makeup on, like literally concealer, maybe some bronzer that I use to contour, and blush, highlighter, and eyelashes and mascara. That's literally about it. I do not want to put too much makeup on and then my face starts to melt, and there's just a big difference from me having on makeup from me and my face melting off. Even with me and my husband, like I said, we were together for about 10 years. Well, we were together for 10 years. We got married on our 10-year anniversary. We didn't even have kids that entire time. Like, so there was no pressure. Well, of course we had a child and we had some mishaps that, you know, in between. As you guys seen my other video, you know, I've had 2 miscarriages, and I took that as the first miscarriage. I took it as a sign, you know, I don't need to be having children at this point. I'm still young. I am unable to take care of myself right now, so throwing a child in the mix is going to be a no. It's not a smart move. The second miscarriage, it was more of a challenge for me. If you guys know, and you can go back and watch my other video, I'll post up here, because it made me question myself as a woman. So that was another growing pain that I had to go through, and I was so grateful and thankful for the type of person that my husband was to support me through that decision, because it was hard on me. It was hard on him as well, but you know, as a woman, you know, you kind of question things. But I mean, just imagine if we were married during that time, because we separated because I went through postpartum. So I can understand why some marriages, I mean, in some marriages they do fall apart, not because of financial issues or infidelity issues or out of obligation. Some marriages do just generally fall apart because of infertility issues, and it's hard. It's really hard. And not saying that the person that you're with can't help you or support you. It's just that, you know, sometimes individuals go to a dark place where they have to get themselves out of. No one else can get them out of that situation, and it's really hard for a spouse, for both spouses, because you're both are grieving in different ways. I have a friend who, I actually know 2 people who carried children all the way to full term and ended up losing them, and still had to physically give birth as going into labor, and it was hard. You know, one of them relationship failed, and then the other one, they stayed married and just tried again and never just gave up hope. It can be difficult, you know, in marriages they all fail for different reasons, but if you had that security blanket of being able to get out of a marriage at a certain time, it would be awesome. Now, would this particular solution of expiration of marriages, will it be a continuation of expirations? Like, you know, license expire every 4 years, so every 4 years would you have to renew your marriage or call it a quits after a certain point? Like, at what point can you no longer get out of a marriage due to expirations? You know, so that's my only thing. If I have to renew my marriage every 4 years, it would suck. But for those who've been in marriages for 10 years and it just failed for unforeseen reasons, you know, could you have gotten out of 8 years at the 8-year mark if it, you know, expired every 4 years? You know, I don't understand how they would control that. So that portion would be a little bit skeptical, but I could also see where the courts would be able to make money, because I'm pretty sure they're going to charge you to renew your marriage or to just let it expire. And then you have those people who just they don't care. You know, and if you let your marriage expire after 4 years, if then 10 years down the line or whatever you decide to get back with that person, can you just renew, or do you have to go through the entire process of getting remarried? Like, we've all seen cases, whether it's been on TV, the movies, or whatever, where people called it a quits, got a divorce, but then realized later on in life, yeah, I should have just stayed, and then they get remarried, all because of maturity. You know, they realize, okay, I wasn't ready then, but I'm ready now. So I mean, it's a very unique situation, and we'll see where it goes. So let me guys know what you think of the video. All right guys, this is the final look. By the way, fun fact number 2, I actually braided my own hair. Now I know it's not like bomb.com braiding, but you know, I think I did pretty good, you know, considering that I don't know how to braid. Ha ha ha. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have anything, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button again, and I will see you guys next